Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to Cybrosys Technologies. In today's video, we're going to discuss about the revamp in stock valuation of Odoo 19. Let's first move on to the settings. And here we have the users and companies. Now we need to manage two companies over here. The one will be Demo 1 US Perpetual and the other one will be to manage the periodic. So we need to know what is the inventory valuation type, periodic and perpetual. Periodic inventory valuation is a manual way to manage the inventory valuation. No automatic accounting entries are made, valuation is adjusted manually at end of a period and the stock journal is not actively used for the entries. But in case of automated or the perpetual, Odoo automatically creates accounting entries for the stock movement. The stock journal will have the type as miscellaneous, and the journal entries are generated between stock input account, stock output account, and stock valuation account. Once it's been done, what we have to do is we need to manage with certain things. Now, what I'll be doing is that let's move on to the accounting module. In the accounting module, under the configuration settings, here you would be able to see that we have the inventory valuation. Under the inventory valuation, we have to set certain things. I'll be changing the inventory accounting as the inventory valuation with perpetual at invoicing. So default accounts, valuation and cost methods for the company, and these options can be overridden on each product category. Now let's change the inventory cost method as average cost. Once it's been set over here, now the next step is to create valuation account. So we can provide the code. So once it's been set over here, you can provide the name of the account as inventory valuation. Now let's click on create and edit. So upon clicking on create and edit, you can see that currently we have the type as current asset. We also just need to set the expense account. To manage with the expense account, you can provide the expense account. So let me create a new expense account over here. So I'll be setting the expense account. And you can provide the expense account as expense valuation adjustment. And again click on create and edit. There you need to set the type of the account as expense account. So I'll be choosing expenses and let's save the changes that we have made. Now finally, we need to set the journal over here. So under the journal also, we have to set it as inventory valuation. So once you made all the changes, you can save the changes over here. And afterwards, we can create the journal. Now let's create the journal and let's set it as inventory valuation itself. And click on create and edit. And here you can choose the type as miscellaneous. And here also save it and save the changes. Now, currently we can see that we are in a new company. So we need to set up the warehouses to manage with the receiving of the item. So to manage with the inventory, you can move on to the configuration. And here you would be able to find the warehouses. I'll be creating the warehouse over here as D1 USP. Okay, that's the short name I'm going to give. Now let's save the changes that we have made. And later on, we need to create the RFQ to manage with the perpetual invoice. Now move on to the products and you can search for the product average cost. So once the product is being selected, you can make it as favorite and you can set the product type as goods, and under this you just need to ensure that we have enabled the track inventory by quantity. If you're not able to track inventory, then what happens is that when you just move on to the inventory valuation, you won't be getting any result over there if you are not enabling the track inventory. You can track inventory based on different ways, like it can be based on the quantity, Unique serial number or unique load number, I would like to track based on the quantity. Now here we can also set the cost and the sales price. Once it's been set, you can save everything. Now under the category, you can see that we have a category called Demo US Perpetual. And inside that, you can ensure that the costing method is average costing method and the inventory valuation is perpetual. That's at invoicing. Now, let's move on to the RFQ. So to manage with the RFQ, you can move on to the purchase module. Here, upon clicking on new button, you can fill out the details of the vendor. I'll be choosing the ready mat as the vendor. Now let me choose the product over here, which is product ABCO. So once you choose it, you can set the quantity and the unit price, and let's save it. Now I'll show you how this is taking place, or what are the changes that comes under the inventory valuation and under um, the move analysis. So currently we have created an RFQ. Now let's move on to the inventory valuation. So you can directly search for inventory valuation. So inventory valuation will be getting from the accounting. And Odoo 19, we have a new menu called review. There we will be having a section called inventory. Inside that, we will be getting the inventory valuation. So as we just create a document only, we cannot find the inventory valuation over here. Now, if you want to view the move analysis, you can also get the move analysis. So move analysis comes under the reporting section of the inventory module. And you will not be able to see any move analysis over here as we haven't received any item. Now again, let me move on to the purchase module. In the purchase module, right now, I would like to receive the item. I would like to confirm the order. So as I just confirmed the order, now again, let's move on to the inventory valuation. So in the inventory valuation, still you can see that we are not getting any initial balance, stock variations or ending stock. Now again, let's move on to the move analysis. And under the move analysis, you can see still we cannot just track anything over here. Now let's see how the tracking is done. So you can again move on to the product and we need to receive the item. So even if you are just creating an RFQ or making it as a purchase order, you can see that no transactions such as the inventory valuations or the journal will be moving there. Now, here we go that we need to ensure that we have created the journal to set everything. Okay. So under the accounting module, when you just move on to the accounting module, here we have the journal. So currently you can see that we have only the inventory valuation. We have to create different journals. So I'll be creating the journal as purchase to manage the journals of vendor bill. So let me set it as purchase and you can choose the type as purchase over here. And afterwards we need to save the changes. So before moving on to saving the changes, we also just need to set the default expense account. So I'll be setting the default expense account over here. Now provide the code over here and click on create and edit, where you need to set the expense account as expense over here. And you can provide the name of the account as expense itself and save it. You can save the changes that you have made. Now we also just need to consider the other journal to manage the sales. So here you can choose the type as sales and we have to set a default income account. So provide the code and provide the name and click on create and edit and choose the type as income. And you can save the changes that you have made. Now, let's again move back to the purchase module. So in the purchase module, you can see that we are about to receive the item, right? So currently you can see it's time to validate and receive the item. Now, upon moving on to the inventory valuation, you can see, not to the inventory valuation. So search for inventory valuation itself. you can see that currently when we receive the item, you can see that the expense valuation adjustment has got 10 under credit, and under the inventory valuation it has got 10 under the debit, and you can also see the inventory valuation, that's ending stock as 10. Now from this we can say that the initial balance is 0. This means that there was no opening inventory value before this date. And under the stock variation you can see $10. This is because this section records the stock movement, or in other words we can say that it shows a change in your inventory value. It shows which accounts were affected. So in this case, we can see that the expense value adjustment is marked under $10, and the inventory valuation as $10 under the debit side. So when stock increases, Odoo credits the inventory valuation account. That's the asset account. You can find it over here. Inventory valuation account is an asset account, and that will be marked. And debits and expense account. Okay, so here you can see the stock variations, and when the stock decreases, the opposite happens. That is, the inventory will be getting debited and expense account will be credited. So here it looks like the inventory was added, that is a stock coming in, so the valuation is increased by 10. Now here we can also find the ending stock. So the ending stock is given as $10. The total current value of your inventory at this date is just $10. So it takes from the inventory valuation account. So from this account, and that's marked over here. So in simple words, we can say that we had no stock initially and we have added a stock with a worth of $10, and now we are ending the inventory with $10. So this system automatically generates accounting entries to reflect the change. Now again move on to the move history. That's the move analysis. Not the move history, move analysis. So under the move analysis, you can find the quantity and the count with the product. If you want to just get to know the product, you can also easily get that. Now let's move on to the purchase module again. Now in the purchase module, you can see that we have received the item and we need to upload the bill. To upload the bill, first you can just get a print of this bill. So I'll be getting that, and here you can see the purchase reference number, which is 18, and let's upload it. So under the download, you can just search for the bill, and here we go, that we have the bill. So let me upload it. So here you can see that any journal on the payable account must have a due date and vice versa. The error you are getting over here is because upon moving on to the inventory, not to the inventory, into the, to the ready mat, here you can see that under the accounting, we need to set the account receivable and account payable. Now let's fill out the details of account receivable as well as account payable. To solve the issue, we need to set up the accounting account receivable. So under the account receivable, ensure that it has got a type over here as receivable, and you also just need to set account payable. So let's move on, and you can see that the account receivable has a type of receivable, and the account payable has got an account type as account payable. Now what you have to do is, when you move on to the sales and purchase, here you also need to set up the payment terms. So you can choose the payment term. Once everything is done, we need to upload the bill. So again, back to the purchase order. So currently I have uploaded the bill, and you would be able to see the vendor bill, which is in the posted state. And you can also find the inventory valuations. You can see that the initial balance is $10, and that is the opening balance of your stock is $10. This means before today's date, that's November 3, 2025, your inventory already had an item worth $10. The account used for this is given over here. That's an asset account. Now, when you move on to the stock variation, you can see that the stock variation is given as 0. This means there was no stock movement, no receipts, no deliveries, or the adjustments during this period. So the inventory value did not increase or decrease. And in accounting terms, no new journal entries were made that affect the entry. Now, when you come to the ending stock, here you can see that the amount is again $10. This is your current total stock value as of 11/3/2025. Since there was no change, the ending stock is same as that of the opening balance, that is $10 itself, still recorded under the same account, and you can see the account which been given over here. So, in short, we can say that your inventory remained unchanged because you started with $10 worth of the stock and entered with the same stock. So, this report just confirms that no stock transactions like purchase receipts, sale deliveries, or adjustments happened during this frame of time. Now, we can again move on to the um, move analysis. So, search for move analysis and let's see, nothing has changed over there. Now again move on to the sales module and let's create a new sale order where you can see that our customer is decorated, and here I would like to choose the same product. So I'll be choosing the product um, average costing method. You can see the amount, that's the unit price and everything. Afterwards, you can save the changes and let's confirm the order. And before delivering the item, let's move on to the inventory valuation and let's see anything change that has taken place. So here you can see nothing is taken place. And when we move on to the move analysis, you can see that nothing has taken place. Now again, let's move on to the sales order and we just need to deliver the item to the customer. So upon clicking on validate, we can just do the delivery of the item to the customer. You can see the demanded quantity and delivered quantity. So everything is done. Now again, move on to the inventory valuation. So upon moving on to the inventory valuation, here you can see that again, there has taken something over here. Okay. So here you can see that the initial balance is just given as $10. You started with the stock worth 10 in your inventory and the value is recorded in the account inventory valuation, which is treated as an asset account. So at the beginning of the inventory, you will be having $10. Now, upon moving on to the stock variation, this section records the stock movement, specifically a stock reduction. You can either sold the item, delivered goods, or made a stock adjustment. And this means that the journal entry under the inventory valuation, that's the asset, is decreased and will be credit in the stock movement. And in case of expense valuation, adjustment is credited to record the cost moving out of the stock. So in this case, you can see that the inventory valuation is decreased and that will be marked under the credit. In case of the expense valuation, you can see that the cost of goods are moving out of stock. So it will be marked under the debit. So in short, we can say that you removed $10 worth of stock from your warehouse, maybe due to a delivery, consumption, or manual adjustment. Now, finally, moving on to the ending stock. Here you can see that after removing the worth of $10 of stock, your inventory remains 0. This means that there is no stock left in your warehouse. So in short, we can say that you started with a $10 worth of item. You made it move out of all these items, either sold or adjusted, and your inventory is now empty and that will be set to 0. And the system automatically creates accounting entries to reflect this movement in your inventory valuation and expense valuation adjustment accounts. Now, again, move on to the sales module. If you want to view the move analysis, you can also find the move analysis. And here you can see the delivery that we have just done with the quantity and count. Everything is given over here. Now again, let's move on to the sales module. And we need to create the invoice. I would like to create a regular invoice, and upon clicking on regular invoice, we just need to confirm the invoice. And here you can see that we have successfully moved the invoice from draft state to the posted state. Again, you can move on to the inventory valuation. Okay, so in the inventory evaluation, you can see that currently everything is just turned into 0 because we have settled up everything. Now, under the move analysis, let's see anything happens. So here you can see the quantity being moved and everything. Now let's talk about the periodic inventory stock valuation. So let's move on to the um here and set the company as demo VE periodic to manage with the uh, periodic stock valuation. Afterwards, move on to the accounting and under the configuration settings, you can see that the stock valuation where you need to set out certain details such as the inventory valuation must be periodic at closing and the periodicity can be either manual, daily or monthly. I would like to choose it as manual and we are going to choose the inventory costing method as before. You can also provide the valuation account. So under the valuation account, you can see that it's a current asset account and you would be able to see that under the valuation account itself, we have another account inside it. So inside that, you can see that we have the variation account, which is to get the increase or decrease in the stock of a raw material. And you can set it as an expense account. And we also just need to set the inventory valuation. Once it's been set, if you're just managing it with for a new company, ensure that you have created the warehouses. So to manage with the warehouses, we know we need to manage it from the inventory module. So ensure that you have created the warehouses. So let me create a warehouse over here. So let's DBEP be the warehouse. So then only we can receive the item into the warehouses. And once it's been set, we also just need to ensure that we have created the proper journal. So under the journal, so in the accounting module, we have the journal. Ensure that you have created different journals over here. Such as the sales and purchase to manage the sales journal and the purchase journal. And now let's see how can we manage with the stock valuation as periodic. So you can move on to the purchase module. In the purchase module, click on new button where you can fill out the details of the vendor. The vendor is ready mat and let's say the FIFO as a product. So here you can search for product FIFO. Once it's been set, you can just move on to the internal link of the product and you would be able to see that the product is having tracking inventory by quantity and it will be having a category as FIFO itself. So upon moving on to the category internal link, you can see that the costing method is just given as FIFO and the inventory valuation is given as periodic, which means we will be doing the manual inventory valuation. So once everything is done, you can back to the one you are dealing with right now. So I would like to set it as 100 over here and let me save it and confirm the purchase order and let's receive the item and you can click on validate to receive the item. Now what you have to do is let's duplicate these orders. So I'll be clicking on duplicate and let me change the unit price as 200 and again let's confirm the order and let me receive the item into the warehouse. Let's click on validate. Now again let me duplicate the purchase order and let's set the the unit price as 200 itself and let's confirm it and again we can receive the item and click on validate to receive the item. So once everything is done, you can move on to the inventory and stock. So here you can see that under the inventory we have the reporting and you can get the stocks over here. So under the stock here you can see that we have the demo um, periodic and you can find the unit cost of the item, the total value of each item. Okay. So the total value will be 500 because in the first purchase we have just bought um one item with 100 and rest of the item with 200 and you can find the total as 500 and you can also see that the unit cost is just given as 166.67. Now you can see as we just made a 3 purchase order, you can see the on hand quantity is 3. So when you just go with 500 divided by 3, you'll be getting the unit cost as 166.67. Now you can also just move on valuation. So in the inventory valuation, you can see that uh, the amount that has taken place as 500, and under the goods purchased for resale, acquisition is also given as 500. But when you just start the stock valuation, the initial balance was 0. Currently, when you purchase the item, the items has been just got over here, and the raw materials is been increased. And you can also see that under the ending stock, currently we have a worth of 500. Now let's move on to the move analysis. So as we just move on to the move analysis, let me move on to the list view. You would be able to see all the details with the demanded quantity and the quantity that's been received. Everything will be showing over here. Now what we will be doing is that we need to upload the bill. So I'm going to upload the bill, and to upload the bill we can move on to the purchase module, and uh, to get the bill we can first click on print, and here you can see that um yeah, I have downloaded the bill. Now while uploading the bill, you can see I'm going to make changes over here. Okay, so you can see the bill and let's add it. But during the uploading of the bill, I would like to change the price over here as 300. Now let me save it and confirm the bill. So upon confirming the bill, you can again see that there is a change in the price. So you can move on to the inventory, and in the inventory, upon moving on to the report, you can find the stock, and here you can choose demo, periodic, and here you can see that the amount has been changed over here. Now if you want to make any further changes in the amount, you can also just do that. To do with it, you can choose a product, and under the action, not here, yeah, let's move on to the other one. Now let's move on to the move analysis. So as you just move on to the move analysis, here you can move on to the list, and you can choose any of the move analysis from here, and here you can find the adjustment value. So if you want to make any further changes in the value, you can just do so. So currently I have just given it as 300. Now if I want to change the value as 500, I can just change that. So you can provide the description, change in the value, and let's click on save. So you can see the further changes that has taken place. Now when you move on to the inventory valuation again, here you can see that under the inventory valuation, you can find the change over here. As we just change the amount that the reflection will be getting from here, and upon moving on to the inventory, reports, and stock, you can see the change that we have made over here. Okay, so you will be getting all the details. Now the cost has been changed, and you can see the unit cost is 266.67. This is because when we just made a change in the value, we got it as 800. Now 800 divided by 3 will be getting a result of 266.667. Now let's create a new physical inventory. So to manage with it, you can move on to the physical inventory and click on new button, where you can choose a product. So the product is standard price, product standard price. So once it's been chosen, you can set the quantity. I would like to set the quantity as 4, and let's apply it. So once it's been applied, you can see that we haven't provided the cost for this. So you can see that currently I would like to change the price as uh, I mean, the cost as 50 over here. Okay. And let the sales price be 100. Let me save the changes that we have made. And upon moving on to the inventory valuation, here you can see that the amount has been changed. Actually, previously it was 800. The other number 800 or 900. Now it's been changed over here. Now, if you want to generate the entry manually, we can just do that. So you would be able to see the decrease, increase in the stock of raw materials and the goods purchased for resale. Why we are making the stock valuation manually is that because we have just set likewise. You can also just go with monthly or weekly. So if we are just going with monthly or weekly, it will be doing automatic valuations. So let me click on post so that we can just post everything manually. Okay. Now let's see how this differ from the uh, perpetual one. So you can just move on to the demo one, US perpetual, and we need to create the RFQ. To create the RFQ, you can move on to the purchase module, and from there you can click on new button to create the RFQ. Now let's choose a vendor, and again you can choose a product. So as you just consider the product, you can consider the product average costing method. You can save it, and you can confirm it. And after confirming it, the next step is to receive the item and click on validate to receive the item and move on to the inventory valuation and not to the inventory valuation. Okay, here we have the inventory valuation. You would be able to see the change. Currently, the initial stock is 0, and you can see the expense valuation adjustment is set to 10, and the inventory valuation is 10. And you can see that the inventory valuation is at the end of the stock is also given as 10. Now we can generate the entry manually, and you can just click on post. Now, the final thing that we're going to discuss about is about the periodic. You can move on to the periodic, and here we need to create an invoice. To create the not the invoice, the RFQ, you can move on to the purchase module, click on create, and here choose a vendor. And again, you can just move on to uh, purchase the item, product average costing method. So I would like to set the amount over here as 100, and let me save it, confirm it, and receive the item and click on validate. Again, let's duplicate it. So upon duplicating, let's move on. Here we go. That we need to receive the item. Okay, let me move on. Let me create it separately. Here we can choose a vendor, and again choose a product, and here you can save it, and let's change the price over here, and let's confirm it and receive the item and click on validate. Now let's move on to the inventory valuation. So as you just move on to the inventory valuation, you would be able to see the valuations over here. Okay, it's been changed and the initial balance is 1000, and you can find the decrease increase in stock over here, and you'll be getting everything, right? Now what we'll be doing is that um, let's move on to the purchase order, and we came to know that we have made uh, a slight mistake. So upon moving on to the receipt, here we just need to change the effective date. So I would like to change the effective date as first over here, and let me save it. And afterwards, again, you can find that you can move on to the inventory, and under the inventory valuation, you would be able to see that nothing has taken place over here. But when you move on to the stock analysis, you can see that under the stock analysis, if you want to set a inventory date, you can just do that. So let's move on to the um, periodic, Now here you can just click on inventory date and you can set the inventory date. So let me set it as first and click on apply, and let's click on confirm. So if there exists any data related to that date, we'll be getting that. And if you want to just filter based on um, with a particular product, you can also just get that. So currently I would like to consider goods with purchase. And if you want to just get a specific product, you can move on to the custom filter, and here you can search for the the product. So let's say the product field, let's set the product field over here. Okay, and you can set it's equal to a particular value, and let's save it, and you can search here. So here you can see the sales price, the cost, and the on-hand quantity as well as the forecasted quantity. So all the inventory valuations will be updated over here. So these are the changes that you can find in the Odoo 19 stock valuation. So that's all for today. If you find this video informative, please do like, share, subscribe our channel. If you want Odoo customization, Odoo implementation, and Odoo tutorial videos, feel free to contact Cybrosys. And thank you for watching the video.